That's a heck of a way to start. Okay, I'm going to try and talk a little louder. I started this thing, and it ran about 7 minutes, and got interrupted, so I listened back to it. I don't want to delete it because it's a good introduction, and I'll just put them out as part 1, part 2. This is addressed at women who've been raped, sexually abused, brutalized. You can put that in the pot, but primarily we're looking at rape victims. Sexually, you've fallen under the influence of a sexual predator, and that man, and we're talking primarily men. I know there's women in, but we're going to just stay with men and women. This is the thing. Guys who prey on women and rape them, whether that's just by overpowering them or by actually brutalizing them. You know, some of you poor babies escaped with your life. It was that kind of a thing. And a lot of times you've got the worst situation because you got all that baggage attached to it. I mean, Christ, the asshole almost killed you. So, you know, let's go with some... So we all know they're all assholes, they're all douchebags, worthless fucking human beings. None of that matters. What matters is how you respond to it. Remember I said my job is to help make your life better. And what I want to try to do is to get you to change the way you look at what happened to you. Some of you have been anguishing for decades. You got raped when you were 14 and now you're 54. Your life still sucks. You haven't trusted a man since. And as a result, it's arguable that that son of a bitch has caused you more pain than you can calculate. And it's pretty hard to figure out a way to get some payback for that. Very often you're not going to get payback for it. Especially if he's somebody who disappeared into the night. They've never been able to identify him. You don't know who he is. It's just a shitty, really shitty thing that happened to you in another time, and you've been living with it or not living with it. Like I say, some of you poor babies are basket cases. I want you to woman up. If you were a guy, I'd say man up. You're a woman, so I'm going to say to you, woman up. Shit happens. And you have to just accept the fact that you were in the wrong place at the wrong time for whatever reason. And the more you lament about it, the less good you do yourself. We don't care about him. We only care about you. And we know that if you don't get past it, don't develop the skills necessary to take you past it, your life's never going to be right. And I want your life to be right. You got to understand that not all guys are assholes. Some of them are really quite wonderful. And if you have a bunch of chips on your shoulder, hard to find a wonderful guy sometimes because you drive them away. You know, because I had my own little episode with a predator. There's a lot of camaraderie that women sense in me, and awareness. For some reason, a lot of ladies in my life have been victims of the violence perpetrated by some man, and I guess they found a kindred spirit that they could talk to about it and not be ashamed about it. Because one of the things that these assholes got going for them is that you're ashamed of it. Some of you have never told anybody. Nobody knows. It's your dirty secret. You've been keeping this dirty secret since it happened. Fuck that. Don't keep it anymore. If it's still, number one, you might be still within the constraints of your community's legal system. Some places have time limits where if it happened past a certain time, you can't pursue the individual. Very often, evidence has been lost or never even gathered that might be able to allow you to prove your case in court. But I'll say this to you. If you've never taken this to the legal system and you know who it is, then you go and talk to the cops, or at least talk to a lawyer and get some guidance on how you go about this. Because it's very possible that that man has had other victims like you, and some of those may have come forward, And if enough of them come forward, it builds a case so that the cops can use it against these guys. And you want to use it against these guys if you can. The girls that I feel the most pain for are the ones who are being preyed on by members of their family or friends and relatives of the immediate family, you know, your brother's best friend. And nobody wants to talk about it, even though you've tried to make, how am I going to say this? You may have even approached your mother or someone else in the family, and they say, oh, no. You're just making up stories. You know, especially since most of you, your behavior will have changed after it happened. So they just think you're carrying on airs, and it's a really vicious box because no one believes you, and you know that you've been hurt so bad that there ought to be a law against it, and there probably is. So, I'm a pretty radical guy, you know. I'm a firm believer in letting the system do it if it can, but I also am not dumb enough to believe that the system works, because it doesn't. And the poorer you are, the less well it works for you. If you're some rich lady and something happened, well, the whole powers to bear will come down on whoever that asshole was who came down on you. But if you're some poor girl living in a impoverished area here in the United States is full of them, or you're an ethnic minority that is regularly not given a fair shake, your chances of getting justice are pretty slim. So it brings you down to, what do? Well, the first thing you do is see if you can forgive them. You don't have to do it in person, you have to do it in your heart. To understand that whatever motivated that man, he was a twisted fuck, and that's not on you. It's never on you. Even if you were out on a date and you strung this guy out and you said no and he proceeded and overpowered you, that's not on you. Although in that case, you might ask yourself, did you wait too long? I remember, I think I shared in this other introductory thing, it happened to me once. I mean, we were undressed. And she said, no, I can't do this. You know, I was just trying to piss my boyfriend off, and I really love him, and I listen to all that crap. But I'm a good guy, so I let it go. A lot of times you don't run into a good guy, and you've got to deal with what the result of that has been. The first thing you've got going for you is that you're in charge of your mind. And you need to stop feeling like a victim. You need to go on the premise that no matter what happened to you over your life, it was there to make you strong. It's always there to make you strong. All life is a lesson toward improving your strength as a human being. Now, sometimes it doesn't shake out too nicely, and that's what happens when you become violated by these guys. If you don't know who he is, and no justice has ever come, the cops never found him, no evidence that's going to point him out, and time has gone by now, you got to go on the premise that he got away with it, and you'll have to rely on karma and the universe to take care of him getting his just desserts. Put that part of it out of your mind and now concentrate on shifting to only you. What can you do to make yourself whole again? And one of the things is you can talk about it. You can talk about it to a counselor, to your best friend, to God. You know, just talk about it. Get it off your chest. Some of you poor babies have never told anybody. Start telling people. Let the word out. Maybe by telling people, someone will remember who he is. You know, that's what a cop's canvas. Get people talking. Maybe maybe you remember that he had a jacket, had a letter on it or something like that, had a scar, had a tattoo. And by telling the story, someone else might say, well, I know that guy. I ran into that guy like that. Had a tattoo. He was kind of an aggressive sexual guy. Because if you can, you want to bring him to his just desserts. This is going to get crazy with only 15 minutes, you know. And I'm really immersed in this because those guys just piss me off no end. And the ones that are probably the worst, and all this is because I've known people that have had this situation, is where members of the family are the ones that are the perpetrators. Some of it is still going on, Some of it went on a long time ago, but they still pat you on the ass and smile and wink at you, and they say the little slurry things that are meant to bring you back. In other words, they're constantly sticking your face in it. Those guys can be given some comeuppance. You got to decide how bad you want it. If it's in the family and you haven't tried to tell anybody, or you told somebody, a lot of times women will tell their mother, and the mother is so afraid of preserving what her sense of the family unit is that she's willing to sacrifice her daughter for that purpose and let it continue. So just go on the premise that that bitch is of no value to you. She gave you life, thank you very much, fuck you, lady. That kind of an attitude. Talk about it. Talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. Let people know what happened to you, so you can begin to get it off of your chest. That's what we want to do, is get it, so it's not with you all the time, everything reminding you of it. You got to say, make it okay. Every time you think about it, you got to say, it says nothing about me. I always remember that I have everything I need here and now, unless I'm letting my consciousness be dominated by demands and expectations based on the dead past or the imagined future. When you think about that, your mind says, oh God, I wish that never happened to me, and then you lament. That's called the dead past. Don't let the dead past beat you. And you may have to do 1,000 affirmations to make it go away, but one day it will. One day you'll look at it and say, you know what? I came out pretty strong. I survived that asshole. And I'm doing pretty good. Maybe love will come into your life, you know. In the female gay community, you find a lot of women who've been seriously damaged by men. And at least they have enough understanding about the need for love that they found an alternative way to get it. And that's by moving into a gay life. That's good. It's a wound, but it's good. You know, you got to live with what's happened to you. That's the same for all of us. Every time some shit's dealt to you, that's just part of life. Some people get a lot of shit, some people don't get any. Those are very, very few. You can count on the fact that you walk down the street and you look at people. And it's a good exercise, mate, because he wants you to start doing things to make you aware that you're not the only one who's suffering. If you walk down the street, just look at the people's faces. Some of them you can see the pain they're in. My guess is if you're anguishing over this, anybody who looks at you can see it from a distance. Oh wow, look at that poor baby. And it's also a big sign, don't get involved. You're gonna have so much baggage. It's referred to as baggage. Your shit is always referred to as baggage to someone looking at you. Try and cut back on the baggage. Now, there's some radical things that you can do. And since I'm a radical guy, and some of you girls' lives suck so fucking unbelievably because some asshole did something to you, and he's in the family and you know who he is and you live with him all the time, then I'm going to say you fuck that guy and do something about it. And I don't want you to kill him, because if you kill him, nobody learns. There's no lesson to be taught. I'll give you an idea. Here. Let's say you got this prick, and he's there, and he could be your dad, too. Now, don't make it okay, whoever it is. Sometimes a lesson has to be taught, and you may be the only one capable of doing the lesson. You might be the only one who's getting this kind of treatment from them. That's probably not usually true, but nonetheless, it could easily be true. Oh, less than a minute, so I'm going to tell it to you. If you really have so much hate in you that you can't get it out, you can't, Jesus says forgive, everybody says forgive, but you can't do it, and this fucker's there rubbing it in your face all the time, you're going to have to do something. Kicking him in the balls isn't going to do it. Shooting him in the balls, though, will. Go to the gun store. Buy yourself a handgun, something that you can handle easily. And next time that fucker does it, shoot him in the dick a couple of times and get out of town. I'm going to say this to you kind of if you got... I told you I was kind of fucked. Make him pay. Make him pay for all your pain. And then use that to get it off your chest and go out and find a new life. get on a bus and go somewhere where nobody heard of you. I love you. Whew, Bob.